suppose it's rather surprising for me to intrude into the academic atmosphere of the hospital, being basically a non-academic person. And the topic also chosen may be a little surprising to everybody, but then let me make it a little clear. Although the effort should have been made by more eminent people, but then the profession that we have all chosen is basically never a singular effort. It is a collective team effort, and only if the team is cohesive and united and give their best can you achieve success. Be it medicine, be it surgery, be it gynecology, be it anesthesiology, whatever specialty you go into, until there is activity as a team and a cohesive team, a well-coordinated team, you are liable to get results which are not up to your wants or desires. The situation being that, I felt that it is time for us to again realize that all of us in this profession are potential leaders, not the type who are presently involved in a lot of interesting things across the country, but basically leaders in the profession. And the next gen members, I have chosen this word because it's very popular with the younger generation. The next gen members are more aware and knowledgeable about this, having a lot of exposure in the present day academic fields where you find umpteen doctors going in for management courses, and that is where they kindle this leadership quality in individuals, to begin with being considered as potential leaders and subsequently becoming actual leaders in their fields of specialization or profession. I hope this part is clear why the topic has been chosen. I mean, it is apparently a non-medical topic, all of us might feel, but then the success of every specialty in our profession depends on realizing the quality in yourself and then trying to involve the people around you to form that team and lead that team from the front, to borrow from the common term used. As is customary, we begin with a definition, like you have been doing all along in your academic field. Of course, the seniors should not take any offense. How do you define leadership? As I have been mentioning, basically it's the process by which a person influences the activities of an individual or a group. As I have been saying, it's a team. A team is the group in an effort towards the achievement of a goal. So the primary target is the goal. It could be a successful lap cholecystectomy. It could be a successful lower segment cesarean section. It could be a successful hemodialysis, or it could be a successful insertion of a CAPD catheter, or even ORIF. So that being the goal, it is absolutely essential for the person who is doing the job to exhibit his leadership qualities in making that cohesive team working in a harmonious fashion to the fullest satisfaction and expectation. Unless we achieve that, there might be flaws, and I'm sure all of you have realized that this is one profession in which all of us are involved, where flaws cannot be compromised, because the chance that you get may be the only chance. To quote Ian Fleming, you only live once. So if you miss that chance, you don't get a second chance to correct yourself for the patient. What are the functions of the leader? Might sound very theoretical, but practically, when you take it down to the absolute grassroots levels, the objective of the exercise is the task. It may be something very simple like a venesection. It could be something very simple like endotracheal intubation. So that being the objective, the people who are involved in performing it forms the group. And as I have been stressing, the work has to be together, and the leader, in this instance, each one of you who are sitting in this auditorium, is the person who decides, who coordinates, who amalgamates the entire unit. It could be a unit of 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, even 6, 8, 10. So that is where your contribution comes in evolving the modus of how you will function with the team. And just knowledge of the subject here becomes ineffective in implementing what you want, that is to achieve the goal. To develop a spirit of unity, this is stating a fact in a very simple manner, which has got the most importance in our profession. Unless and until your unit, it could be your department, it could be a theatre team, that is the operation theatre team, it could be a ward team, unless and until you have imbibed in a sense of unity in that team, it's very difficult to get the results that you want to get. And then the purpose. As we always mention, there is a mission statement for those who are new to the railways. There is a mission statement of railways, which I would request our medical director again to make it visible to all of us in very simple facts. It mentions what is our mission statement. It's a customer and seller relationship where we should ensure that we give the fullest satisfaction and the least traumatic experience to our beneficiaries, in this case the patients. So that being the purpose, then the individual. The individual, that means each one of us should have a personal motivation, which I am very confident that all of us have an individual motivation. That is why we are here. That is why we have gone through all those difficult hurdles in becoming medical graduates and postgraduates and even super graduates to do what we wanted to do. That was what was in our mind. We have made every effort to make it a reality. And the personal motivation being there, it has to be treated to perform at maximum efficiency. Here, there is another thing which has to be remembered. As I have been stressing over and over again, personal efficiency, personal excellence is definitely important. But, as I have mentioned, you have to work as a team. And when you are working as a team, you have to accept that there will be certain members in your team who may not be as efficient and as brilliant as you are. But that is the quality of the leader, where he imbibes that sense of confidence in that slightly inefficient and slightly less intelligent member of the team to perform his best, so that our aim is the goal, the target, and that is the patient, the relief to the patient, the healing to the patient. So that feeling of exercising your excellence and brilliance in a manner which doesn't belittle a member of your team. Many of the senior persons might have come across in their careers, either here or otherwise, of team leaders who have exhibited their excellence during their course of work. Very simple things. They might have been brilliant physicians, brilliant surgeons, but during the course of their work, they have made it known that they are brilliant, and the person who's by his side or her side is not that brilliant. So those careless remarks while you're working, in mentioning that your member of the team is useless, worthless, you don't know your surgery, you don't know your medicine, might not really help in achieving your goal. It might in fact act as a disincentive to the individual who's by your side, a part of your team. And that is where, as a leader, the individual should realize that as a leader he has a bigger responsibility. in not pointing out the deficiencies of his members of the team, but in trying to compromise that, improve that, overcome that while he is working, and not in the other way, reminding of the inefficiency, the lack of excellence, and lowering the enthusiasm of the team member. So that is one thing. As we grow, I don't know whether I can include myself because I'm over the hill. As all of you grow up in your eminence, please do remember this at the points where you will be exhibiting your brilliance and excellence. Please do not belittle the member of your team. It had been a practice in the earlier ages when many of our teachers, especially this city is famous for that, of stalwarts in the world of medicine, who had the habit of belittling the colleagues during the course of their work. But then days have changed now. Realization has dawned that you can get the best of results not by showing a person how small he is, but showing him how big he can become. So that is one thing we have to remember during the course of our work. The first word is the most important word in our profession. Unfortunately, our medical curriculum, even in the year 2013, has not included communication as a part of the education of medical sciences. Whereas our basic work begins with communication, unless of course you have a deaf and dumb patient. The communication is the start